Hi guys, Kentia with Targeted Fit Career Consulting here with you today with Arleen Nisius. Arleen lives in Taiwan, and we're going to talk about her journey of work and living abroad in Taiwan. So Arleen, welcome to the channel.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, sure, it's a pleasure. So Arleen, we are going to go through some questions here and let everyone know about your experience because, moving abroad is a definite challenge for a lot of women. So we just want to share your experience and how you've been able to sustain yourself, have viable employment and continue to live abroad. So the first question that I want to ask you is, where are you now and what are you doing?
Okay, so right now I'm in the southern city, the biggest southern city in Taiwan. It's called Kaohsiung.
Mhm.
Um, Soon I'll actually be moving up north to another city called Taichung. Just more foreigner friendly, just a different vibe. It's a really cool city. I do like Kaohsiung too, but just wanted to change.
You should like Kaohsiung, it's better. All right. So, what was your original plan for a career upon graduating university?
So I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry. So I honestly thought I was going to be working at the CDC and in a lab somewhere. I did wind up getting an interview with the CDC, just didn't get the job. But uh,
That's
but
good. You
yeah,
got the interview.
but yeah, that's what I thought I was going to be doing, just in a lab somewhere, because that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to do research.
Okay. All right. So, why did you decide to move abroad?
So I actually got a job before doing procurement work at the University of Florida after I graduated, and it was great. I had a good time. I learned a lot. I just felt that at the time I could be doing something else for a
Okay.
little bit. So I went off to Taiwan to do volunteer work. At the time, I was learning Chinese. I had been learning Chinese for maybe 9 years at that point.
Oh,
Yeah, and so I just felt like let's just do some volunteer work, get some like more soft skills under my
right.
belt. Travel, I love to travel, and I wanted to take that opportunity as well. So it's been great. So I'm really glad I made that decision.
Well, good. So, of course, we know with volunteer work, you still have to work in another capacities to support yourself because we all need cash. So, what did you do when you came to Taiwan for work?
So yeah, because I had a bachelor's degree, I was pretty fortunate. I could get a job as a teacher. Uh, I taught at a cram school. They call them cram schools here. It's kind of like an after school program, like a school
Mhm.
after school, because they help the kids with tutoring them in math, English, science, everything that they need help with so they can do better on their exams. And especially English, because
Mhm.
English is not their first language, so they needed a little bit extra help. So parents pay for them to go to these schools. So I was teaching at one of these schools.
Okay. All right. So, of course, so you said you were teaching English in a cram school. So when we think about, teaching in the US, teachers need certifications. So
Mhm.
did you need any type of certification to teach at these cram schools?
So because I had a bachelor's degree, I didn't.
Okay.
I also had experience tutoring and teaching kids already,
Okay.
although it wasn't science, but they found that okay. I didn't really need anything else per se.
Hmm.
Um, so it was good because I stayed there for about 3 years, so I did get some good experience on how to teach kids properly. But normally the rule is here, the law is that you have to have a bachelor's degree
Hmm.
or you have to have an associate's with a TESOL certification. And of course, if you have the bachelor's degree with the TESOL, that's even better.
Right. And with the tussle, let's just be clear that you do, I think you need 120 hours when it's the
Yeah.
associate's degree. Isn't that right?
I think they may have changed it to 150,
Ah,
but
okay.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at the moment yet.
Okay. So that can be checked out on the Ministry of Education page for Taiwan. So you can always clarify that. And that's for the audience. So, well, let's talk about what type of skills from your previous job do you feel you were able to leverage in this role of teaching?
So since I did work for a university, I felt like I still was kind of in the realm of education and
Mm-hmm.
still valued that. So, and also because I have a love of science, I could help the kids learn different English topics that they would not normally learn, like
Okay.
from other teachers. Like I can help explain them more in a way they can understand. And we did have fun. We did some science experiments because there were topics I had to teach. And because I tutored students before,
Mm-hmm.
um, they were high school students, but I mean the goal was the same. It was to help them
Mm-hmm.
learn in a safe environment and just to help them understand what they're learning and to have fun with them.
Okay. So you did that for 3 years. And so what are you doing now?
So now I actually work online. I have a job as a customer service rep. Yeah, so I answer any questions online using Facebook Messenger or Gmail, any emails I can send out.
Okay.
Not much talking on the phone, but just mostly just typing and answering questions and making quotes.
Okay. So customer service job.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how did you go about transitioning into that role?
So I actually heard about it through a friend. So I was looking for a change.
Hmm.
So, and they knew that this company was hiring, so they helped me get that job. And so it's actually a little bit like procurement work, just without the full process of procuring things. So I already had some kind of experience with it. So it's pretty much like going back to my old job.
Okay. So you used your skills in your previous job when you were working at the university in order to attract this new employer to get this new job. So awesome.
Yeah.
That's the key to leveraging our skills. So any skills that we have, we always want to present them and try to find new ways because we know working remotely in another country, but having an organization that's based in the US is, key to being able to get that or do what they call geo arbitrage, which is getting that cash from the US or EU in order to use it to live in a country where it's cheaper to live with those dollars. So good for you for doing that. That's awesome. Um, so how long do you think it took you to find this job on average?
To find this particular one,
Hmm.
well, I had gone to America to visit family.
Okay.
So it took about between the time I quit my job
Hmm.
in the cram school and then to find this one, it was probably around 3 or 4 months, I
Okay.
would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Awesome.
quick turnaround time.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I think sometimes people think, oh, I quit my job, I've got to have another job. It does take, I would say, 3 to 6 months on average for people to find a new job. So I think you fit right within that range. Now, when you quit your job in Taiwan, how did that affect your residency? And, what did you do in order to be able to stay?
Mm. Yeah, so I knew that eventually I was going to quit, and I had to plan way ahead of time
Hmm.
because it had been 3 years since I'd seen my family, so I
Hmm.
had to plan at least a year in advance before I even quit my job. So it it did affect my residency. I had to, I if I didn't find anything else,
Hmm.
I pretty much would have to give up my visa here, my work permits and everything, and
Hmm.
then I would just have to go back home, and I wouldn't have been able to come back into the country.
Hmm.
But during the time, I learned that I could get another um, residency card, like another work permit,
Uh-huh.
through other means. So they have what's called, I can't remember the official name, but it's like a business visa. So you're
Hmm.
basically a representative of a company that's, so you're working here, but you're like doing work for them. You're just representing them here.
Okay.
So I was able to get that visa before I quit my job.
Awesome. All right. So good. So let's talk about the challenges as a woman of, living and working abroad. What have been some of your challenges?
As a woman working and living abroad, I would say the biggest challenge is that you're doing everything by yourself.
Hmm.
There is a fear because you're, I mean, single female living in a foreign land. You have to
Hmm.
be careful. Working wise, it's not as difficult in Taiwan, I would say. Like, it's pretty okay. But just, I guess, the whole journey alone, like, you have to, everybody's thinking, like, oh, you're doing this by yourself. Like, are you sure you can do this? So I
Yeah.
think that would be hard because they see single female and they're kind of scared. Like, is that going to be okay for you?
Right.
But I mean, I've overcome a lot of challenges, and it's Taiwan is really safe.
Hmm.
Um, and I have lived on my own before coming to Taiwan, so that experience really helps me
Hmm.
beforehand. So yeah.
Okay. So what would you say the joys of living abroad have been in comparison? Let's compare to living in the States. Like what
Hmm.
is, so great about it?
I think everything is great about it, to be honest.
I agree.
I mean, I lived in Florida for a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years.
Hmm.
One, of course, it just felt more dangerous, just in general.
Right.
But, and then I felt like I had to work a lot more to keep up a certain lifestyle.
Right.
I, yeah. And then I felt like when I moved here, there was a little bit of ease to my life,
Mhm.
like a simplicity. Like I
Mhm.
didn't need as much to live a happy life.
Mhm.
So I don't spend as much money. I don't feel the need to spend as much money. I make
Mhm.
what I make and save what I need to save, and that's about it. I don't need as much as I
Mhm.
felt like I needed in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a quality of life it's improved because you don't feel that weight on your back of,
Yeah.
the prices and um yeah, it's just a lot better. I agree with you.
Mhm.
So in your process of moving and, deciding where you were going to go or, just work wise, living wise, would you have done anything differently?
Yes.
I
Probably all of
think
it.
everyone can say that though. So let's say, top three things, what would you have done differently?
I would have did more research, to be honest, on the country I was coming to. I took a huge leap of faith coming here with almost nothing. I just saved some money and just said I'm going and didn't have a plan.
Okay.
So it was quite a whirlwind for me for a good few years. I
Hmm.
didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure what I was doing, and I ran out of money pretty fast. So yeah, it was quite crazy. So I probably say plan first, like know where you're going.
Hmm.
The second thing is what would I change? I think I would have probably chosen a different city to
Okay.
begin with. Um, Kaohsiung is great, and I love the experience that I've had here. But it wasn't like it is cheaper to live here,
Yeah.
but it's maybe I would have had a different experience if I had chosen somewhere else to
Okay.
live. Yeah, there are jobs here,
Right.
especially for cram school, but they're a bit pickier about who they want to
Mm-hmm.
work. Other bigger cities that are more foreigner friendly, they have more job options. So
Okay.
maybe it would have been different. Yeah, maybe I would have gotten a job faster. But I mean, it's between that time. Like I got it in maybe 8 months.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, mm, I don't really have another.
How about saving money? Because you said you ran out of money really quickly. So would you?
Yeah, I think in saving money wise, I felt like I saved enough. Like I saved enough, but I because I didn't know what to expect, like I wound
Uh-huh.
up spending more than I would have. Like if I had that money now, I would never spend that much in as much.
Ah.
Yeah, like it's a lot. I saved a lot to not have it that quickly. I guess
So
I guess
be
like
mindful with your money. Have like
yeah,
an
yeah,
emergency fund, right? That you
yeah.
put aside.
But I think that would have went with planning. Like if I had
Mhm.
planned properly, maybe it would have been better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes when coming from the States, when you go to another country where everything's a lot cheaper, you
Hmm.
get a little crazy because you're like, oh my gosh, it's only $2. And you just feel
Right,
like you can spend. And then you're like, wait, my budget is gone. Even if you budgeted, it's like my budget for the month is gone. What am I doing?
right.
So,
Yeah. I'm really good at budgeting. I don't like to spend too much money, and I don't like to lose money either.
I'm with,
But I think the biggest the biggest thing was that the visa that cost me much more than I thought it was going to cost me. And
okay.
so that took a huge chunk of my money. So that was one of the biggest things. Yeah.
Okay. So definitely look into the costs, not only looking into what the visa requirements are, but what it might cost you or what it will cost you for sure. Yeah, that's very good advice. I agree with that. All right. So, how is your work life abroad different from your average like work life balance uh in your home country in the US? What would you say?
Hmm. Um, I think because it was my first time working full time
Mhm.
and being outside of my parents' house, like living on my own, I didn't really have much balance. I
Mhm.
was trying to find that balance
Okay.
hard, like it was really difficult trying to figure out how to clean, like when to clean, when to do things, how do I go to the doctor when I still have to go to work. Like
Right.
it was a lot to balance. Right now like while I've been in Taiwan, I've been working part-time. I've been fortunate to be able to do so,
Mhm.
but I think I understand better how to run my life and how I want things to go in my life. So even if I were to work full time again,
Mhm.
I think it would go much better. Like, but although I do like part time work life, it is nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you feel like it's helped you to grow in your life experience.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So what tips can you give young women like yourself who are planning to go abroad and work? What tips would you give them?
Um, I would say, I think this comes from my procurement background, but I would say read that contract that they give you. Um, uh, we do get contracts when we work in the States, but I don't think we understand really how it works outside of the States.
Mhm.
Um, we really have to learn how to protect ourselves because unfortunately, not everybody is going to protect you, and nor do they care to protect you.
Mhm.
A lot of people are going to make you do stuff illegally, and you really should be mindful that if you're going to go that way, that there is a huge risk to that.
Mhm.
Um, so it's best to do things the right way because then you feel better about it and you don't feel like, your time will be wasted if you get
Mhm.
kicked out. So always read your contract.
You get it translated, right?
And translated. Fortunately, I could read Chinese, so I read both. I always read both. And my boss, she was really nice. I worked for a really good company. She always let me have my contract for a week because she knew I would read it
Okay.
before I did. So yeah.
Yeah, because I've definitely heard of some additions in the local language in comparison to what the translated version is. So you do need to be careful of that. Anything else? Any other tips that you can think of?
Okay.
So do you have any other tips that you would give in addition to reading your contract in detail?
Hmm. Um, Work for us in Taiwan or as a foreigner is always going to feel different than work in your home country. Like if you're in Europe, has a whole people have a whole different mindset of work there. So
Mhm.
I just say like don't I mean, in Taiwan, they do work really hard.
Yeah.
So it's much different than what we view as normal, even though Americans do work really hard as well. But
Yeah.
it's going to be different. So their work ethic is going to be way different than what you expect it to be. So just try not to insert your own feelings into it.
Mhm.
Just do your job as you normally would. And like fulfill your hours, make a good impression, and then move on with your life.
Okay.
Like don't try to feel like, oh, I don't feel like this is right, or like we don't do that. Just let them do them, and that's about it.
Yeah. So don't come to another country or go to another country and try to change everyone's ways.
For sure.
You definitely have to make adjustments to the local culture. But isn't that part of, the experience and, being outside of the US anyway, because you get to learn about new people and learn about culture. And of course, there's, ups and downs for some things, but in the end, you really do grow more. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Arleen. I appreciate you coming and, sharing with us your experience. This will be really helpful for other women who are thinking about, making transitions in their career and moving abroad. So I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.